There you go. Professional streamer. I was just saying that I have to do this, and it's gonna take a while. But I should be done pretty soon, actually. I was working on this while watching the CSGO match earlier. Normally, I don't mute everything after I'm done with a stream, but when I'm doing a stream with Dynamo or whatever, I usually will mute after we go to the thanks for watching page. So that if one of us is going to say something, it doesn't keep going on the broadcast. That's a good prank, though. So how's everybody doing?
I have a destiny to meet.
Optimize my workflow here? Yeah, something like that. It would probably be better if I could figure out a way to set this stuff up in wait. Okay. I don't know. I feel like there's almost never a point where it's 100% efficient. Put it to you that way. The only way for this to be efficient is if I were to always do all of the tiles like this to begin with. Which, of course, it'll be easy to say that now, but the tiles themselves are not an issue. It's just the fact that I've got to fucking do them all. And there's no automated action or whatever in Photoshop that just tells Photoshop to make a guide every X pixels, which you would think that was the case, but there is none. Very shocking. No, it wasn't that I had no sound, guys. It was actually all of you were wrong. So. What's up, Luciferius? Yeah, I actually considered getting a green screen some time ago, but I'll probably save that for when I move. There's no space for me to do that here. I would have to really morph everything. I would need to get a bunch of lights as well, because there's no way. I already need to get more lights. Because, especially at nighttime like this, lighting is not great. Okay. Alright. Unless I'm... Oh yeah, that was just the same ruin stuff. Re-imported for whatever reason. So now here comes the really silly part, right? Oh, wait. Oh. I must have done my math wrong. Oh, wait, no, I don't need that. Never mind. I was mistaken. Okay. I think we have everything we need now. What's up, Baleville? Yeah, I had this idea, and maybe this already exists, and I'm just not familiar with it. What the fuck? Why is one... That is a strange Windows bug. I'm not even going to begin to try to describe that, because that is impossible to explain. It might actually just be this. So, you know, you see, like, this side of ripcord, like, the last, like, 6 pixels on this window are stuck on Windows for some reason. Like, even when I have the program minimized. I don't know what the fuck that's all about. But yeah, I was thinking about, there should be like a YouTube channel or some sort of content provider that goes through every single evolution, every new version of software, basically. So like, you'd have like Photoshop, like the first 10 versions, and like, cause obviously you'd have to make installments of it and more versions would come out later. But you could just do that, and then you'd have a series of videos that go through every single, like, the base changes from like version 1 to version 2 and so on and so forth, so that people could decide like at what point does it start, you start getting diminishing returns, and then like it's also a correlation of like all of the features that you might need and stuff like that. So oh yeah, oh, I guess that's fine. But maybe something like that already exists, and I'm just not familiar with it. So the main problem with what I just did is that while it is much more organized, I don't actually think there's a place for me to place these files anywhere. Like, I don't think there's a single area in the tile set that has space for all of these tiles. So I'm probably gonna have to replace something else. Let me see where the where they're placed. I don't think you can just delete groups anymore, or ever. I don't think you've ever been able to. That's the structure. So I'll probably have to like plop it in here under the bridges or something and replace my destroyed doodads, since those are old anyway. Did I put it up here? Guess we'll not ever find out. Oh yeah, let me re-enable mixed play real quick. Spooky timing. Yeah, I did put it in here. It's way more efficient use of the space overall, but I don't know if it's enough. Let's count the, this is psychotic. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, I guess we can just say this is 624 and it ends in 707. Which is 83. And we can take this. We see 3168 is the dimension. Divide that by 32 and you get 99. So yeah, it's too many. Fuck. That would have been really convenient if I could have just popped it in here. Guess we're just gonna have to suck it up and replace something else. Let's see, this is 782. This will definitely work, I think. There's so many of these. So I can just throw it in here. And then I can use those other ones for something else. Yeah. Alright, we'll just do that. Means I'll have to redo some other tiles somewhere else, but that's fine. While I'm here, I might as well re-import the temple ramp as well. Well, I hope you guys are ready to watch me do that 10 more times. Oh, Carpal tunnel the mod. Process Explorer just gives you more information. There's not really any difference that I've come across anyway. Sometimes it's useful for finding more detailed information when you need it. I don't remember if I actually... Do you actually need to be able to path on these? Probably? I think I probably would use normal task manager more if it wasn't so simplified and cucked by Windows 10. It got pretty much annihilated just on the basis of it. Like, they simplified it more and more and made it more and more like bare bones and useless without going through and doing a bunch of tweaking and stuff. And sometimes Windows Update resets it to override your old settings, whereas Process Explorer doesn't have that problem, and it's basically like a slightly more readable, slightly more upgraded version of... like, I used to use Process Hacker back in the day. That was a little bit more reasonable, I think. I think there was some conflict with the program I was using, and that's why I uninstalled it. But if that hadn't happened, I would have remained using that. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the main takeaway, I think. Is Microsoft basically created demand for it just by fucking with the end user's ability to resolve problems on their own. What? It's not at all what I thought I just did, but alright. I don't really need Photoshop open, or this. I don't use the thing that was conflict with Process Hacker anymore either, so I could probably re-download it. I just haven't gotten around to it. It was a little bit faster than Process Explorer, so I liked it better. We're still working on this, this Eye of the Storm special. I guess I can update the... We'll go ahead and update the description, explain what I'm working on. So I'm still working on this map, this Eye of the Storm Special Edition. It's progressed since the last time I showed it on stream. I was able to get some layout work done. The last stream that I did it for this, I organized the high dirt. Now we have the ruins and the high mud as well organized, which is why you see the high mud here placed. And you see ruins placed here on high dirt instead of jungle. So I got those organized. I'm still doing the temple, which is why the temple stuff is still like not completely done. But working on it right now. And once that's finished, we'll be able to place those... finish detailing those areas a little bit, just cleaning them up basically, all the temple areas. And then I think the only thing other than that is crevices, so I might bang that out now, like today, but I might wait. The big deal with this mission right now is I envision a battle that's probably going to take quite a while. Like, I don't know what the... I didn't really look into the specifications or rules behind what the Mapperino contest is meant to have. I'm mostly just using the contest as an excuse to make content that will eventually result in my project being, further developed. So, for all I know, Jabrino will just look at the author and say, fuck that, and not play it, and disqualify it. Which is fine. It's really just like an excuse to get my content a little bit further developed because of the fact that this uses the Hydra game state, and so we're working on the Hydra game state and making advancements in that, Icar and I, without, like... It's not like it's a complete distraction from that, I guess. So I will continue to be filling out the tile set, for example. That's really, really useful for my pipeline from when I'm actually working on these maps. I have to do the raised jungle stuff as well. I forgot about that. That's going to be fairly quick, though. There's really nothing there. I might make a raised jungle and jungle, a blend of mud as well, just so that we have that to be used. That might be something that I look into sooner rather than later. But... I'll just medium all this and then set it to high later where required. But yeah, it should be it should be pretty simple in general. Like, I can't imagine it being an incredibly complex final product. Like, I feel like it'll be easy enough to grasp. You know what I mean? So, I'm envisioning a sort of perpetual state of battle for the first 30 minutes of the gameplay before anybody comes away with a definitive advantage. And even then, you'll still need to act on it in order to close out the game, if it is you. And of course, if it isn't you, you're going to need to fight back. Or restart, I guess. But because I'm not overly concerning myself with whether or not whoever is going to end up playing it, it's going to be up to 3-player co-op if we're able to adhere to that. I don't know if that'll actually happen. That's the pitch, is that up to 3 human players can play. So I don't know if all 3 players who end up playing it. I think it's Jabrino and Deltron, and then maybe that Azothan guy, Azothan. But I'm not sure about their skill levels overall. I don't know if they've gotten better or worse or stayed the same since I last saw Jabrino and Deltron play, which was some time ago. But yeah, as you can imagine, I'm not really that concerned about the whether or not they'll be able to win in that context. So it's going to be a bit more of an honest approach, I think. Wait, why did I make it like that? That's fucking weird. Alright. Perfect. Now we're talking. Man, this is going to be such an agonizing process. But it gives me some opportunity to just shoot the shit with you guys. So. Anything's better with friends, you know what I mean?
Don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
Especially colonoscopies. Okay. So I think that's done. Oh wait, this is low. Fuck. Can you guys check me out on Instagram, please? Oh no. I was taking an Uber, and Brazilian. I had a Brazilian woman as the driver. She was talking to me, and I was explaining how, like, what I do for work, because I had just finished doing some work, and I was talking about that. And I probably shouldn't talk about my work. I'm learning, because there's very few people who understand it, and the people who think that they understand it are sometimes the most confused out of all of them. Which she wasn't necessarily, but it's something that I'm learning. So, I should probably just say that I do game design or something. That'll be more, something that at least most people understand what the fuck it is. But she was, like, I mentioned that I was working with Counter-Strike or whatever, and I was like, yeah, it's a video game. And she was like, oh, is it like Fortnite? And I was like, yeah, Fortnite's like a smaller child version of it, but, you know, it's like for kids. Not really what I'm doing, but similar theme, I guess. Not really, but, you know, like, I had to say something. And now she's texting me, is the long story short. So. Don't give out your phone numbers, boys. What the fuck? Bailiff Bell's having a meltdown talking about Instagram. My Instagram is actually Chris Metzen. What if it was actually revealed that I conned you guys? You had no idea, but I was Metzen the whole time. Dude, what a twist. That's like the whole bit where I conceived of the idea that as a twist in my Fraud Knives campaign, we would have Metathrom reveal that he's actually a double agent who really likes macro gameplay and just wanted to have a list of people who sucked up to him and said that, wow, your micro campaign is so great, just so that he could, like, kill them. He could just assassinate them or something. I think that would be a good bit. Oh yeah, I just realized some of these groups are probably not unbuildable. Oops. That's going to be bad. Although, oddly enough, most of them do seem to be able to be considered unbuildable. Integrity of the universe would shake if I were to be Metzen. You're probably right about that, actually. Wait, so all of these are buildable tiles? Or unbuildable tiles? Whatever. Oh no! Oh wait. That was supposed to be low ruins. Oh well. I'll fix that later. Oh man. Fuck. Idiot. Bing bing bong. I'll finally be able to I don't know, do something. Whoa! I'm way far down now. Ah, here we go. Oh, just a few, I guess. Really, I should have added an extra set of mud so that I could have higher mud temple, as well as an extra set of jungle. I don't even have a version with jungle, so not looking good there. No. Oh, are you still interested in consummate feedback? I did miss that. Thank you for letting me know. High grass is, yeah. High jungle. As far as whether I'm interested in consummate feedback, to a degree, just because it is something that I made, but the new version that I'm making is very different. The most important or useful feedback for me would probably be story-based or character-based, like how you felt about the story and the characterization. Because those are the things that they aren't unchanged, but those have remained the least changed in the new version. And I can't even say that that's like, that kind of gives off the wrong impression. Like, I haven't changed a lot, because I have. I'm introducing a couple of new characters. and you know, some other stuff like that. So it's not like they've, you know, they are necessarily resembling the old version, but everything else is significantly different. So yeah, hopefully that explains something. But yeah, I am interested in it, even if it isn't story-oriented or character-oriented feedback. Still could very well be useful, so. I think there's a lot of things from a story point of view that were just swings and misses back then that I definitely could do better at now. So.
Do you know what time it is?
What kind of psychotic man made this fucking mixtape? Anyways, to answer that guy's question, it's 10:08. Protoss were drug addicts. Well, were. Can't say that with a straight face, can we? I think they got more and more drugged out the longer things went in their narrative. Zeratul babbling about some crazy ass shit. Some fucking prophecy or something. I don't remember what the fucking pattern was for these. Examples of what? Protoss being drug addicts? I feel like I might be talking about something different. Exactly, Dio. Yeah, so, well, one of the obvious ones is that Tuzor has no fucking clue what a Dark Templar is or does, or that that Cerebrits could even die, when this takes place after Zaz died, so, like, that's an obvious one. That was actually because I had just forgotten that Zaz died. That wasn't due to like some decision making on my part that like it would make more narrative sense for Tuzor to act surprised or whatever. I didn't. That was nothing in my head that was like dictating something like that. I just, for whatever reason, that slipped my mind when I was writing the script for the 4th mission, and that's where it mostly comes up, anyways, because he was like constantly in the dark that Gorn was dead until Gorn's corpse was found. And there was a dramatic moment, like, it was an effective moment, I think. But it had that asterisk in your head where if you remembered that, oh yeah, well, obviously this is like after Zaz's death, Cerebrits should know, like the Swarm clearly knows about it, so why doesn't Tuzor know about the potential for Gorn to be dead? You could spin it, I guess, in a dishonest way, in my opinion, that the Cerebrits were like Gorn just or Tuzor refused to believe that Gorn was dead or whatever. But like it was very flimsy. The most, you know, what's the term? The most generous take on the matter is very, very flimsy. And so that's definitely a oh wait, I'm doing the wrong one. That is a critique that I would offer as an example. The rest of it is probably just that the some of the dialogue is too on the nose. I guess there's not really too many other like actual plot holes. There's nothing that's like internally is a hole. It's more like as for how it fits into Blizzard's story, there's problems. That's pretty much like where a lot of the issues come from. So, like Raynor being allied with the Protoss and having his raiders on the planet, like that makes the campaign stronger, but it doesn't necessarily make a great amount of sense from like looking at the existing story. So I can understand why some people who are more concerned with how other like how the campaigns respect the original lore. Like I don't sympathize with their position at all, in the sense that I mean I don't agree with it. Rather, I don't provide it legitimacy and claim that that's a great way to conduct yourself, because I think that the original campaigns are obviously terrible and the original lore should be disregarded, especially if it makes more sense for your campaign or your story that you're trying to tell. So I don't view those as huge issues, but I can see why people would be like, what the fuck? And in that case, it is less efficient than it could be, and than it should be, because people will take issue with it. Like the Raynor thing, I think people can just get over that. In the same way like medics and lurkers, I think people can get over that stuff. They can just pretty much like ignore that. And just say like, alright, yeah, okay, Raynor's raiders have combat medics, and the Zerg have evolved lurkers at this point, and whatever. Like, I think they can dispense with that stuff. Although I'm not including lurkers in the new version, it's not because of lore respect, it's because I think the Basilisk is a better tie-in and visual storytelling and gameplay storytelling for Tuzor being like specializing in evolution and being able to mutate his Hydralisks into Basilisks in that sense. I think is better than him just having lurkers, which is a default unit that already has all these other preconceived notions in people's heads because they've already played it as them. I think showing custom tech is a better way to illustrate Tuzor's effectiveness in that regard. So from a narrative perspective, that's a way better device than just having lurkers. But in the past, it was just that, you know, he accelerated the growth of lurkers or whatever. They were in the swarm sooner, something like that. Yeah, the Basilisks and Vorgelings will be taking... I have a document somewhere, hold on. I keep forgetting to put that in my bookmarks folder. Let's see. So, like, these are just... This is shit taken from Hydra. A lot of it is just the basic stuff from the general changes. But the tech tree stuff is all changes to vanilla and expansion units, etc. And all new upgrades related to those units. Although it doesn't include lurkers. And, like, actually the expansion units aren't really there. Medics are probably going to be different to some degree. But, like, we're including the Shaman, the Cyprian, Medical Bay, Sentry Turret, and escalations required to get Shaman, Cyprians, and Sentry Turrets. For Protoss, they're going to see Legionnaires, Hierophants, Bulwarks, which are the mobile shield batteries. Exemplar, that's the new aircraft. And then the requisite structures to get those. So the Gateway morphs and the Stargate morph. And then for Zerg, it's Warverling, Basilisk, Kassan Screamer, which is going to be a heavy ground unit, morphed from the Ultralisk. And then Basilisk Den, Greater Nidus Canal. I think the Kassan Screamer is going to have their own tech structure that you morph from the Ultralisk Cavern, so I'll add that in the event that does get added. But that's what's going to be added. But I would say, like, really the biggest issues within Consummate is the fact that it's presented in a very inefficient way for a video game, for an RTS. Like, the missions are not designed in a way that, like, they are skill testing, but they're not designed in a way that I think is intelligent for that purpose. I guess I probably should do the... Oh, okay. Reasonable. I should probably do the pathfinding for this. Even though I've already done it technically. Although I have a feeling I'm going to have to re-import some of this stuff, so hopefully the tile edits make sense. Like, hopefully I can do the text edits. A-okay. Yeah, I mean, the AI, it was the first project I ever made AI with, so to some extent it's expected that it would be fucked up in that respect, but I don't think that's an excuse for it to be as bad as it is. Like, even if it's your first time working with a tool, I don't know. It doesn't mean that it has to be that fucking... I talked about this during the Warcraft 2 stream, and there seems to be a lot of aspects of that game's level design in particular. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Where they're deliberately fucking the player. Like, they're basically doing stuff that would be as toxic to the player as possible. Malevolent, we'll say. And so that kind of malfeasance, you don't really... Like, I don't see a reason for it to be in the game, right? And they also have this ass-backwards way of, like, justifying their... the justification for a lot of their changes to the game flow are really, really bad. Like, for example, apparently the reason why the walls are disabled in Warcraft 2 is not because that was a balance thing or anything that you would think of. It's because the AI can't handle it. So rather than make their AI capable of handling it, they just disable it. Which is like, it turns the whole thing into a laughing stock. And so, that's an example of like where I definitely don't think justice was served in that particular example, right? So I don't know. I think that that's a good reason. Like I justified a lot of the design decisions of Inconsummate as like more so through the narrative, I guess, where I was more concerned with making sure that the player was walking through an area and felt like, yeah, this is being held. This is a battlefield, and it's being held by this player. And like in that case, there was visual storytelling, there was gameplay storytelling, but it was very rough around the edges, and it was not based around a positive feedback for the player. Like, the player couldn't really do anything that I didn't personally approve of. Anime. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's just so much that could be improved there that I don't see why I didn't do that to begin with. I don't know. It's I understand what happened there, but could have been a lot better. Alright, so now I need to grab these. Let's see what we can do here. Well, hopefully this works out. Why does this always happen? Every single time I import something like this, it gets fucked. It just crashed. Nice. Punk Buster! I don't know what Punk Buster is, but alright. Okay. Alright, that means I have to re-import those. Wherever I fucking put them to begin with. Oh, right there. Wait. It's the old ones. I was worried it would crash again. I'll just double check all this stuff when I'm done. One of the other things I was thinking about for this particular mission is that I wanted each area to be kind of like its own biome. But, not sure how well that'll work out exactly. I'm planning on releasing the updated content when it is finished, which it is nowhere near close to being finished. The best thing that I can say about it is that I have its story planned out pretty well now. And the character changes and stuff. It hinges on some unfinished content, like the Kassan Screamer, for example. Some AI commands that I don't have yet. And the map expander, the map size expander. So I don't actually know if it'll be done or not. I can rework some of my concepts to not include some of those things. There's also some Inconsummate specific tech that are related to the heroes that I wanted to get done at some point, but iCore probably will be good for those. Just a matter of like where and when. Alright, so what was fucked up? Ah, yes. Thinking of the High Temple one. There it is. I'm not sure if Hydra 2.0 will be finished. I'm gearing up with, I'm basically considering 2020 as the year where I'm gonna try to complete all of this shit that I've started and have not yet done, as opposed to trying to start new things. But you can't ever go into a year and know what you're like, what to expect, as I've learned. So, okay, here we go. This is going to be its own degree of silliness, I think. What the fuck? No. No. Why? What a shit mix. Yeah, that's a project, like, it's kind of weird. I still don't have a complete grasp of why I separate these two. But when it comes to single player stuff, one of my major concerns is that I'll work a version of the project into, like, okay, so when you have a single player campaign, for me, it's meant to be played once, maybe twice in each player's lifetime. Like, odds are, it's a custom campaign. It's for a very old game. You're lucky to get a complete playthrough out of any old person. Obviously, there's certain people who will play it more, and certain people who won't complete it, and certain people will hear about it and never touch it, never interact with it at all. But the way that I conceive of it is, it's meant to be kind of like a one and done, pick up and play thing. And what I want out of that in general is I want the whole thing to be kind of a surprise in that sense. I don't want it to be like I gotta open Photoshop for this. I don't want anything to be spoiled because I couldn't finish the campaign without, you know, streaming it for whatever reason. You know what I mean? So I think that's probably where the issue comes from. Oh. Oops. What a prank. So the distinction between that and something like Hydra is that I want Hydra to be as replayable as possible. Aw, man, I really fucked this one up. Good thing I saved before I started doing that, because that would have been a mess. Is there a version of this somewhere else? I don't understand why there's two versions of the temple ramp and the tile set. It doesn't look like there actually is. But wow. It sure looks like there is. What the fuck? All this red is supposed to be yellow. What the fuck happened here, man? Blizzard? Question mark? Can you imagine going up a ramp and losing height advantage? What the fuck? I feel like maybe I fucked that up somehow. But I don't know how that could even be possible. Like, surely everything would be broken. Not only some stuff. Whatever. Yeah. Oh no, that's the low one. Is it also? Yeah, it is what's up here. How? How would the flags just get changed? Because there's no way that's broken in the base game. Whatever. I'll blame PyTile before. Normally I'm pretty quick to blame Blizzard, but don't think that's feasible here. I don't know, man. Very strange. Yeah, Veek, it's not an issue of, like, me wanting to, like, it's not that I want to, or I'm worried that people won't play it. I just don't want to compromise the experience for somebody who hasn't already experienced it. So I'm keeping it close to the chest in that sense. So, what are these? I don't know, man. What a confusing mess. I think I'll just do my own fucking pathing, honestly. Rather than worry about this insanity. Okay. Let's try that again. This will give me an opportunity to increase the pathfinding of the ramp anyways. Because this ramp definitely is too unpathable in the default build. I fixed it on the other custom ones, but naturally that doesn't translate completely. To the old one. So. Although that could actually explain to some degree why the pathing was fucked up, if it was replacing the old tiles when I was importing the new ones because they were visually similar or something. Well, I guess visually identical would be the term, but I'm pretty sure I turned that option off, so I still don't really know how that happened. Should be a import on like import flipped option or something, so I don't have to do it again. This is probably even more generous than the ones that I was doing before, though, so it's kind of funny. Holy shit, is it really fucked up in game DF? That's so insane. I can't say I'm necessarily surprised, but... No, fuck that, I am surprised. How? Like, it's in the vanilla version of the fucking game? It's busted? Oh, I think I forgot to do this one. I'll just do it this way. I think this is how I did it before anyway. I can't believe that, man. Holy shit. Yeah, all of the, I think all of the high compound doodads are screwed in the ice tile set, aren't they? Like, they all have some bug somewhere. That's probably fine, I guess. Oops. Alright. How do I want to do this exactly? I should just get the height out of my old ones. You know what that means, guys? I have to find them in this mess. There we go. Aha! Okay. This will make it much easier. Okay, that's fine, I guess. I'm still kind of perplexed as to how Blizzard managed to somehow putrefy everything that they touch. Somehow it all becomes lard. Like I'm still waiting for a visual explanation as to why the ramp and the walls that the ramp goes into are completely different. Oh wait, that makes sense actually. Oh, that was an even bigger prank on me. Probably made by different artists, yeah. Are you sure that the height isn't fucked up with the doodads? For the high outpost or compound or whatever it's called? I thought it was messed. I should probably take away some of that pathing. That's what I thought, yeah. I remember looking at that at some point, and I think I fixed it for one project's tile set or another, but it's been so long. I at least acknowledged that it needed to be fixed. It's very silly. But, this is the same company that uses, Latex MPQ tool. And a bunch of other things. I think they still use the cask viewer tool because they don't have a better one. Just think about that for a sec. Hope it doesn't crash on us. Oh, here we go. That simplifies that quite a bit. I wish he had picked a more distinctive color for orange or something, because it really is hard to immediately see sometimes. Oh wait, fuck. Wrong one. The others stand out a lot more anyway. IMO. Right-clicking should also only fill the, should behave the same way as walkability does, where it only fills what is... if you right-click on a sea of yellow, it should really only modify yellow. It shouldn't modify the other layers as well. Make the most sense to me. Unfortunately, I think my dreams of releasing a well-developed, a well-set-up tile set that's very well organized. I think that's all not going to happen. I don't think that's ever going to happen. It takes so much time to do anything with this stupid thing that I think I'm going to just have to tell people to learn to remember where I put stuff, because it's not easy to reorder this shit. Unless we get a better tool sometime. Very time-consuming stuff. Yeah, did I do this? Might have missed that. Destroyed myself. Alright. Good. Yeah, DF, that seems like a real psychotic experience. Just imagine how dizzy the units must get, how much elevation sickness they must feel, jumping back and forth like that all the time. Okay. I'm gonna do these now. If I can find out where the fuck I left them. That's regular. Where's the other stuff? Huh? Okay. Oh, I think I started that and haven't finished it yet. But where is... Oh, it's just here. That's weird. I remember feeling very confused trying to put this stuff together, so hopefully this helps. Because it's always annoying as fuck to try to put together any of these grass type things. Alright, hold on. Before I do that, do it like I was doing it earlier. Can't forget my lessons. Master Metathrom taught me well. Oh, Jesus Christ. What's up, Connor? I could probably stand to modify their appearance in some way. I'll give you that much. This will be so much nicer for actually placing these. Holy fuck. Oh, wait. See how far we can split this in one go. Should have done this to begin with. Save me some steps. After this, I'll look into seeing if I can change the color or appearance or something to be a little bit less annoying for the guides. Because it does affect my readability as well, so I can understand why some viewers may get apprehensive. I think what we truly need right now is just a better tool overall, as opposed to something that builds off of PyTile. But in truth, I'll take anything we can get, because anything to improve the workflow. The problem is, like, while PyTile is really dysfunctional and buggy and crash prone, it's still the best we've got for tileset editing. And without it, we are pretty much fucked in that sense. Okay. Go ahead and save this. I'm going to save this, and then I'm going to try something even more exciting. I have a feeling we can fix this. Or, not fix this. We can squeeze all this in. Hell yeah, we can. Alright. Dude, we're so good at this. Wait. Fuck, what version of PyTile did I had the tile set open twice. Oh no. Oh god. What have I done? Oh no, this still has the updated bridge. That's fine. I mean ramp. Second result? Okay, I'll try that next. That's why I was closing this stuff, to see what could be done. Okay. Oh wait, with idle, sorry. Idle. Oh, that's an underscore. It looks like parentheses. I mean, an ellipses. I don't see anything here for that, so let's try that again. There we go. I think I found it now. I had to go all the way to the top for some reason. Yeah, I just had to go to the top of the document for whatever reason. Yeah, that is more stark, we'll say. Nice, thank you. For the most part, it's just the fact that the interface is so buggy. If it didn't crash all the time, it would be way better. If we could also, like, as useful as the, what's it called? The painter for the mini tiles, like that is useful, but I think this interface here where you have the ability to click and stuff, that should just be built into this. And so, like, you go into, like, you click a button up here or something, and it overlays the same grid that you see here on these, and maybe then you can be able to, like, zoom in or out if you need to, which you can't do currently. And then you can just, when you left click on stuff, it paints. So, like, you can paint the whole thing from here. Alternatively, you could just build it into this, I guess. But that way it would be way easier. And then it's, when you right click, it, like, fills the whole group maybe, or something like that, as opposed to the whole tile or whatever. I don't know, something to make that easier. Because it's really fucking arduous to go through it, edit every single fucking tile now. And I think that it would just be better if you could do that. If you could select the tile and like copy all tile metadata, all tile flags, and then paste it over some other tile, and then you could like choose what to copy. If you wanted to copy all tile mini tile flags, or if you wanted to copy just height or just walkability, that would be better as well. Like, it's just so menial right now. So that's like my biggest issue. The overall setup. So let's take a look at our ramps, make sure that they came out okay. I think they came out okay. My main like issue with them is probably the fact that we have like, again, it looks like a completely different architecture where it goes from this brighter palette to the darker one, and I just don't really get why, but you know. Oh, speaking of which, I've got to pop in the placeholder ramp that DF sent me, so let me grab those. I mean, I also didn't bother correcting that shading. I just copied, like, blind mirrored it. Like, even my shading, which you can see over here. Hold on, I'll switch to units so you can see me select. Like the shade, I added shading over here, and I just mirrored it, but that's because I don't have access to the source material. I'm not going to bother going and fixing that right now. That'll be for later. Okay. So I can add this custom temple shit over. Let's see. Precisely right here, I think. Just select a whole bunch of this shit, more than necessary. Oops. Okay. And there definitely should be an option to import text settings, but mirror them. That's another thing that we probably need for features for this program. That would help for stuff like this. Most doodads end up having some mirrored element to them, so. That would definitely help. Doing this all on the fly. Most of it would go to black tie. Oh, well, yeah, that's another... You'll have to add some logic to ignore that. What the fuck were those? Already unbuildable, which is nice. Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to double check all the buildability now that I think about that. Okay. So. Excuse me. Yeah. Okay. All good. False alarm. Probably going to need you to explain. Oh shit. Where the those fixes go, DF. Well, at least I don't know. I'll take a look at it. I think you said this a corner variant for the front-facing ramp, and then the last is left-hand front-facing ramp to make it fit the temple roof header. Oh, okay. So this one is just... Oh, okay, I see what you did. So I'm going to need to make a copy of this tile and mirror it. But this 2x1 is just for this version of the ramp. It wouldn't work for this. Is what I'm getting. Okay. I'll do that later. Do a little dance, you know? Oh. Man, that does save a lot of time, though. I'm glad you found a way to not suffer by having to redo everything by hand. DF was the one who went through and like actually investigated a way to make this shit work. The imports. I didn't even know you could open up a mega tile view to begin with, so I was probably never going to find that. So. A very fateful misclick. God damn it. Probably should have done something like this. To go back and do that to the other one now. Else they won't be symmetrical.
Hey, man.
See you later, Veek. Yeah, that wasn't a bad ending track, man. That last one. Now that I know we have a reverse ramp to actually work with for Temple, I'll probably actually start using Temple more often. Like, a subconscious aspect of my brain was always thinking, like, there's not even any point to bothering with Temple besides for, like, decorative purposes. You know what I mean? Like, because we can't actually use anything related to it, so what's the big deal? Like, why would you even bother? But now there is a point, surprisingly enough. Am I correct in the assumption that this probably will not tile if I need to extend it? Oh, okay. Let's take a crack at it. That's probably all that I'm gonna get out of it if I had to guess. No. That's fine though. It's a placeholder. And in that respect it's great. Trust me. I still can't believe that mirror stuff actually does happen and it breaks everything. That's so crazy to me. Alright, so now we get to do the fun stuff. You wouldn't happen to have a version of this with the grass cut out, if I had to guess. Yeah, if you wouldn't mind, so I can throw in dirt variants and stuff. At some point, I'm probably going to add in the missing tile for the blend. I think I originally omitted it just because it was it meant it was going to take up more groups back in the day, but now obviously it's just empty space, free real estate. So. Whoa. Today we are working on, let's see. Well, it's just this map pretty much, but outside of that, on a more general basis, I'm organizing the custom tiles. Ruins doesn't always blend with itself, unfortunately, so it's kind of annoying. But. I'm currently getting annihilated by this music. Just in case anybody needed an update. Gonna trigger me. Alright. Have we done all the temple that is on non-stringent? No, there's stuff up here too. What an interesting chat. I don't even know how that's feasible. There's a 10-second cooldown on it, but it trips itself. That's funny. Yeah. You've been used, actually. Alright, that's done. I don't remember if there's any others. Doesn't look like it. Okay. Turn down the music a little bit.
Zerg here.
Trying to decide what I should be doing for the economy balance of this map. Any expansion that's down south is probably pretty safe once you clear it out of feral Zerg. But guess we'll see. So I think we can call it a quick intermission. We're going to listen to Balathal's latest edition of his song that he just sent me. So check it out.
Zerg here.
Yeah, I think the deep rumbling of that bass of this bit right here is probably pretty, like, it's probably too over the top in this case. Or over the top is probably the wrong word for it, but there's probably too much of a pull. Like it intercepts the soundstage a lot. And now, like, the knock-on effect is before, bits like this actually seemed normal-ish. But now they actually sound hollow without that bass, right? So... it almost sounds like we're listening to a completely different track now, I think. Yeah, I would say that part definitely needs to be less in your face. And no, I mean, that's so far that's pretty much it. Maybe a longer and more protracted transition between the slower paced, like most of it is slower paced, and then that fast paced bit. Maybe make that speed up, ramping up part much longer, and that might help. With it feel like, to make it feel a bit more natural in that sense. But overall, now that there's less like seemingly random sound bites, it feels better, I think. Like the last part of it. I'm thinking I might end up having to expand the map out to the right just a little bit. I can't go much further anyway, but that might end up happening because Aldaris is supposed to show up in the top right, and he doesn't really have a lot of room to play with. I don't want it to be a... Like, there's a lot of maneuverability around the Overmind, a little around CAG. It really depends. I'll probably place him, like, right up around here. And there'll be... not really too much maneuverability around him, actually. Might be an issue. But there's, like, pretty much no maneuverability around Aldaris. I think there's enough maneuverability around player 1. Yeah, it's gonna be a little rough. I'll figure it out, though. Still got plenty of time. Alright, so... That'll help guide me. Yeah, that's not gonna work. Do it that way. I'll rearrange the minerals later. I picked... It's a color called Sun Glow. I'll demo it real quick. I just thought it looked pretty nice. It has like a almost a tarnished look to it, while without, at least like, this is what I obviously read into it, but to me it looks almost like, at least on Protoss, that it's battle worn, but still with a sense of importance or like regality, or I don't know. Like, I wanted it to come across as like battle hardened, but also important, I guess, like from a standpoint for the society. So, that's what I ended up focusing on. There's a more of a tarnished yellow color for the abandoned Protoss structures that are. They'll also be colored or not colored, but differentiated by the fact that most of them are probably going to be on fire, so yeah. I don't think that'll conflict. Minimap color might be hard to read with magma for the Overmind, but I can change that by turning that into like a deep orange or something. And I don't even know what color CAG is. I probably will end up changing CAGs. Beastly. Yeah, I think you could probably do it a different color. Yeah, I'm pretty much recoloring all of the units, though. Like, all of the factions. I'm keeping white and off-white for Confederacy, but the UED, for example, are going to have different colors. Because I want... the ideal situation for me is that every color that you come across is unique to whatever faction it is. And that goes beyond just being, like, technically a different shade of red or technically a different shade of white, to actually feeling like a unique color. Of course, I probably won't succeed in that, but I'm gonna go into that with that goal and only make concessions if I have to. What's up, Dead Space? Now, I'm gonna be doing Half-Life either tomorrow night or Monday night, I think. I'm just about done here, but for today's stream. I'm pretty happy with how the Raised Jungle stuff turned out, though. It was pretty easy to slap all that down. Just going to move this over here. Yeah, that's the main issue, Beothal. We don't have decals like in Starcraft 2, although those were very rarely used to any degree of competence. But, this isn't really story-focused. This is a special edition of the 10th mission of the Protoss campaign, called which is called Eye of the Storm, where you fight the Overmind. And Tassadar and Raynor are going to be the two macro-oriented players, and there's going to be a hero controller who just micros, but is able to get resources and spend them on upgrades for his hero, new items, that sort of thing. Basically adding MOBA-type functionality to Brood War. It'll probably be rough around the edges for this particular version since we're on a time limit, but it's an excuse to get started on that development. But as for whether or not this is in line with the lore, not quite, probably. But it's not really meant to be either. I have pretty much no respect for Starcraft's story anyway, so better to just write your own and make it competent. But in this case, we're using their characters, so I'm going to try to keep the characters intact, even if the events that are playing out are not quite as you remember. Yeah, the more I think about it, the more I think we're probably going to need to expand the map to 256 by 256 and do so uniformly, which means adding extra tiles to the left and to the right, so that Aldaris and Raynor have more flanks to engage with, and so that Cag has a couple of different pathways that he can take and have used against him. And also so that if I end up adding a bunch of expansions north of the Overmind, you'll have a way to wrap around and attack them. And the same goes for down here, where there'll be a wrap around from over here in this area behind this base to hit this one or that one or something like that. So. God of War. I don't really like any game that has QuickTime events. I think any game with those is an embarrassment to the entire industry. But I have not played it myself. I've only seen quite a lengthy amount of playthroughs. Do you just have a Photoshop document with all the grass cut out? I'll take the dirt variant now and implement it, but I need it for all the different tile sets. I need it for like on temple, on mud, on ruins. I mean, for this map, I probably will only need it for dirt. But if you can send me a Photoshop document, I would gladly take it. I'm also going to need a version with the ramp fixes for that, probably. But I guess I can do that easily enough. Nice program.
Rest in pizza, Tony!
Well, Dead Space, I can say this. I didn't want to go into the game and come away hating it. For me, it's like, I would much rather just be able to say, cool, I played a good game. But the problem is it wasn't good. So... I'm hoping that some of the other content that I play from that franchise is going to be better, but unfortunately I have no way of guaranteeing that. I'll fuck around with that layout eventually, but it's good that I have this at least. Thank you very much, DF. Appreciate it. Jedi Outcast? I don't think I've even heard of that one. Or Rogue Squadron. Might have to check those out. I think the problem is, like, I was even looking at so that guy that got brought up on one of the others, like the Freeman's Mine creator, Accursed Farms, Ross. He has a series called Ross's Game Dungeon, and I was listening to his review of what's it called, Deus Ex, which is a game I plan on running soon as well. And he pretty much didn't talk about the gameplay. He talked about like the atmosphere, the world building, the story stuff. But he never at any point referenced gameplay, except for a few small sequences. Like he like offhandedly referenced that the combat was clunky and some other stuff. But he did mention something about like a path that you could take that would involve stealth. And the way that he described it, I could not believe that he was like saying that and not realizing the problem, because he was talking about how like the AI basically doesn't respond to certain things. Like you can abuse certain aspects of it and try to like, you know, strike from the shadows, and how like the, you know, the examples that he was giving was like AI just blatantly ignoring shit. And when I think about that, it's like, does he not realize that the story he's experiencing by doing that is that his enemies are completely incompetent? And that is a problem. Like, nobody thinks like when you're shooting it like giant aliens in Half-Life and they just fucking sit there doing nothing waiting for you to kill them like they do most times, or they like stand there and start spinning, like that's not just a bug. That's not just a problem where you're playing the game and this bug happened in the gameplay. That is what happens in your brain, in your subconscious, is you stop taking those enemies seriously. You might not think about it actively. You might not really even factor it in at the end of the day. You might still think that there's some aspect of these aliens or these enemies or whatever. It could even be an ally you're observing doing this stupid behavior, like in Gears of War that I played recently this year. It could be anything, but you'll still factor that in a subconscious level, and they won't feel as alive, as immersed, as belonging in the game world as they ought to. And that is a shame. Like, that is a failure of the developers to create a compelling narrative out of their gameplay. Gameplay is a storytelling tool. So when you fight against an enemy that really is engaging you and challenging you and saying, hey, you can't just skip all this, like you can't walk over me, I'm gonna meet you head on, you start to think about them as a competent enemy, and it adds weight to when you defeat them. It also makes you reconsider your stuff if they were to defeat you and you had to restart a mission. And that is way more immersive than just being told that these enemies are very scary, or witnessing them cut down your allies, but then have no ability to engage you or attack you or threaten you in any way. You know what I mean? Like, if they're killing all your allies, that's one thing, but if then they would just fall over when you talk to them or you engage them and you attack them, then they still feel like pushovers. It's just that your allies also feel like pushovers. It's not a winning formula. So a lot of people just don't conceive of that, I guess, but I don't think it's a huge, like, I don't think it's a step so far away from people's consciousness. I think they can just realize this if they think about it, they look at it. Hopefully, I can help them along that path, but I don't know, man. It just seems weird that nobody else is making these kinds of observations, I guess. It's stuff that I've taken for granted, too, which doesn't help. Because I walk into an experience thinking, I haven't really allowed myself to believe this fallacy for a while, but when I first start a game that's been touted and like hailed, and people have said, oh yeah, it's great, it's a great franchise, it's a great title, like Mass Effect 1 was a good example, which is a terrible game, horrible fucking game, and the story was so laughable and the characters were so underdeveloped, and yet everybody tells me, great game is great. Maybe there's rough gameplay here and there in the first game, but the game's great. It has a great world and it feels really immersive and the characters are awesome, and like I was just walking out, I'm like, what are you guys talking about? These people are just spinning and doing nothing. Because they don't consider the gameplay at all. I take it for granted that other people do that, and the more I've explored, the more I've found that does not happen at all. I'll probably play unmodded. If I end up playing the game again, which will shock me, if I bother doing that again, I might do a run or something with a mod, but I don't think I'm going to play it while it's modded. Just in the interest of preserving my run. Yeah, well, the problem with Gears of War, I went over it, obviously. I already reviewed that game, and already went through a bunch of stuff related to that title, but I think the main thing can be distilled, like the main argument against Gears of War is that, well, obviously it was set piece driven, but the enemies were just bullet sponges, and I think I played on hardcore, so maybe that has something to do with it. Whereas, like, obviously I'm running Half-Life on normal instead of hard because I found out that all it does is change numbers. So it was pretty grindy, but I don't know. Wait, did I make it this buildable? I did, okay. Yeah, we're gonna turn this into like a little outpost, I think. But yeah, that like pretty much it was just a grind to actually play, and there was also a lot of interruption. I played it on PC, so I had the DLC shit or like the bonus content that they added in, and those were really bad. Like it was very obvious to me. Like what it felt like was deleted scenes, like cut content, and it was cut for a reason. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like they just couldn't fit it on the disc or something. Like these were not ready to be shipped. They were not tested. They were not thoroughly debugged. Like people didn't even really give them an honest look. Like it's almost like they didn't even run the levels, because like I died in an area and I died in an area a lot, and every single time I had to sit through like a 2-minute long railroaded dialogue event before I could play again. Every single time without fail, I had to do that. Like that really stuck in my craw. My crow mission, if you know what I mean. What the fuck happened over here? Oh, I just fucked something up in this.
Bye.
The rain passing through roof. Yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna need to go grab the other variant because don't have it here. Modern games I do like. I don't know. I mean, like the thing is, Brood War and Counter-Strike as multiplayer games are pretty good. I think that they definitely could be improved. They're glass ceilings, we'll say. It's very unlikely for us to get a better version of those genres released ever. So I'm not holding out hope that we'll see an improvement or anything like that. But by the same metric, it's I'm glad that we do have those. But as far as other games, like single-player experiences, I don't think so. Like, I don't even think there's any game that I've played that's single-player that delivers on a satisfying experience. Like, I played the Metro games recently. I'm trying to think of, like, what all did I play recently? We'll keep it to non-RTS titles for the sake of it, because that's what I've organized this stuff by. So this year I played, Hunt Down the Freeman. That's great. Metro 2033, Metro Last Light, both Homefront games, Duke Nukem Forever, Gears of War, and Half-Life. So pretty much all terrible titles. Homefront 2 is probably the most competent of all those that I just listed, and that's kind of a shock, because that game was not ready for release either. There's so many bugs with that game, and the enemies were pretty bland. But I felt like I had more player choice just because there was a little bit more agency with stuff that you could do. Back in 2018, I played Dead Space, Prey, Assassin's Creed Revelations, Dark Void, and these were... Prey was probably the best one. All the rest were just dumpster fires, especially Dark Void. But Prey was probably the best out of that bunch. I also played Doom 2016. I don't remember if that was 2018 or 2017. That was a disaster. So yeah, I don't know. Like, the thing is, like, the problem is that these titles aren't always universally terrible. They might have some, promising elements. Like, for example, Prey 2017 had a really cool concept. I would say even Dead Space had a neat concept. But, oh, thanks for the follow, dude. Vinny Khan. Like, some of these games have cool concepts, cool ideas, but their execution's almost universally terrible. And they usually get hung up on, like, the way that I've often taken to describing stuff like this is the game lets you play it for a while, and then it says, all right, hold on, let's cutscene time. We're going to catch up to the gameplay. Our story's got to catch up, guys. And it's just so terrible every time it happens, man. Like, I understand that developers want to tell their story, but they never really just, like, let you explore the world. They lock off certain parts of the realm, or they do all sorts of weird shit to make it as annoying as possible to try to get anywhere in the game world, or they just make it impossible. Like it's a set piece driven story or something like that. So I can't think of a game where, like, there's games where I've subjectively had a good time, but there's no games that were like, yeah, these are good games. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think I've played an actual good game in a while. Single player wise, anyway. Like I said, I gave 2 examples of multiplayer games that I enjoy playing, but obviously that's a different argument. Different category, we'll say. Yeah, I mean, it's weird that indie games have taken off so much to me, because usually, like, indie games are still released through Steam, and so you're not really independent, so it kind of feels like a fraudulent label in the first place. But it's something, you know? Usually they end up being more consistent than AAA titles. I just, like, the thing is, despite all of my critique, the games are still successful. There's still more games coming out. It's just that if you actually want to play a game and not be interrupted by a cutscene all the time, or interrupted by something else, like, your options are so slim. You're basically relegated to, like, arcade revival titles that are just like, oh, look at us. Remember arcade games? Remember Pac-Man? What the fuck? What is going on here? And I don't think that, like, old games were a bastion of great storytelling, great gameplay, great anything either. Odds are they were before, like, some really dumb shit like Loudness War and a bunch of other phenomenon that are pretty toxic to the actual end user. But a lot of old games just have as many flaws as new ones. It's just, I guess the difference is new games tend to perform a lot worse because of all the middleware they slap onto their stuff. Like, you'd be very surprised to find out how fucked modern titles are on the performance department, despite the fact that they have to deal with console hardware a lot of the time, because most PC games are not strictly PC games, they're PC ports from consoles, or they're games that were designed for consoles, which is mostly what PC port tends to mean. And they basically just rely on the fact that you've got free CPU cycles, so we'll spin those CPUs up, let's go. Like, they're not well optimized at all. It's so rare to get a well optimized game. So, I have heard good things about Zelda Breath of the Wild, but I don't even know if I can play that. I don't think that's on PC. As for Bayonetta, I probably will give that a shot, but I haven't really broken into the ARPG genre. I want to start with, what's it called? Devil May Cry, the old ones, and I think I can emulate some of those, but I don't know how many of those I can. The new Devil May Cry games seem to be pretty fucking malevolent. Malicious. So. Zelda's only on Switch. Well, there you go. I guess I won't be running that one. I don't really play video games that aren't... I don't play single-player video games to, like, unwind or relax anymore. I just stream them. So if I can't stream a game, odds are I'm never playing it in general. Unless it's, like, I'm actually, like, at my brother's house or something, and or my mother's house, and I'm playing with my brother. My favorite novels. I haven't read a novel in so long. Let's see. Think about that one for a sec. I kind of enjoyed the Sword of Light series, I think it's called. I don't remember the name of the author. But I think... I remember the characters of it. It might be Sword of Truth, actually. Sword of Truth. I think it's Terry Goodkind is the author, now that I think about it. I remember enjoying that and some of the Dungeons & Dragons-esque books from... I think... Is the guy's name R.A. Salvatore? I feel like that's not right, but that might be it. Those are like the last actual fiction books I read that I can remember. But I read those when I was like 14 or something. So I don't really have a distinct memory. And I can't really tell you if they were good books either. That's a much more foreign environment for me. But I would say the books that I read now are mostly... It's not even really reading, it's audiobooks. And the one that I always recommend to people is called The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. And it's not The Art of War. Don't get it confused. The War of Art is basically helps you figure out like how to be disciplined in your creativity. And one thing that's missing from a lot of people who are creative is discipline. And so that book was helpful to me and world-changing, we can say. Like world-view altering. And so I'm very grateful for that book. That was recommended to me by, not directly, but I read or I was listening to a video from Thorin, Duncan Shields, who's a CSGO and other games journalist, analyst, that sort of thing, for esports. I just happened to follow some of his content, well, pretty much all of his content, and one of the things that he had made a video on was that book in particular and how it had helped him. So as I looked up to him as a content producer, I figured I'd give that book a try, and indeed it did work, so... You read those books too, Bale, though? How recently did you read them? Because I have pretty much no fucking recollection of those titles. I sort of know about them. But... probably not much, honestly. I've envisioned kind of like a biome for this, where further away from the Overmind is more jungle and temple. Sort of like it's sort of like 4 layers in a way, where like the bottommost quadrant is like lots of temple, lots of jungle. I haven't filled in all this stuff yet, but I will eventually. And then as you extend further towards the middle, you get less temple but still jungle. And then you get temple and like barren shit, like no jungle, like or less jungle, and then very little temple and very little jungle. It's like all barren mud shit. So I kind of want to dedicate the level design to that, but I'm not 100% sure how that'll figure into the final product just yet. Holy fuck, is he serious? It was up to like 13 books when I was stopped reading them, so that's crazy that he's still writing them. I guess it's a fucking cash cow. I think they made a TV series out of that at some point. I only read them because my dad gave them to me when he was done reading them, so. What did I learn from the War of Art? Basically, don't obsess over the quality of your work. As long as you're getting work done, you're learning. You're getting experience, and because of that, you are even if you have to go back and rewrite what you just wrote, he was using like books as an example, writing a novel or something. But he doesn't worry about the quality of his work. He just worries that he was able to do it. He doesn't even care how much work he got done. He just cares that he sat aside 3 hours out of the day, 30 minutes out of the day, whatever amount of time out of the day. He cares about that he sat down and did it, that he put in the hours. And it's really foreign for me to conceptualize it that way, because I always thought, like, it didn't really matter how much time something had per se. It just mattered if it was done, and if it was done right. And that led me to, like, the fallacy of, well, I'll work on it when I feel like it. I'll work on it when the time is right. As opposed to just saying, no, get down and work on it now. And even if it's not the best work you're going to do, you still did some work. You still made some progress. We talked a little bit about this on the most recent Big Boys Table podcast. The idea that you want to... Like, I gave the example of the invisible progress bar, and how you have this progress bar from 0% to 100% for completion of your project. And you think, okay, once I finish map 1, I'm 10% done, or something like that. But actually, if you run into a bug, or a glitch, or some issue that you've got to fix, and it creates more work than you thought, in your mind, you're not making progress. But you are making progress. That is actually work that you have to do. So that invisible progress bar keeps getting filled up. You just don't notice it, or you don't conceptualize it the same way. And so, like, that's helped me a lot as well, that realization, which sort of came from that book and from similar observations. Because the idea was, like, even if you're not doing your best work, or even if you're having to go back and rewrite some stuff, you're still improving, and you're still making progress towards the final product, because without this work, you wouldn't have the final product. It wouldn't be finished. So you have to do this in order to finish it. So of course it's progressing towards it. For whatever reason, I wasn't able to conceptualize about that back then. And that helped me sort of break that mental barrier, where I didn't really know how to achieve that, or how to surpass that issue. And so in my head, I kept thinking, like, what the fuck am I going to do? Like, how do I fix this? How do I improve this, or whatever? How do I get past these mental blocks that I have? And I wasn't able to reach the conclusions that I needed to on my own, but with the assistance being shoved in the right direction, I was eventually able to get at something resembling a positive outcome taken care of. So it worked out, I think, all in all. That was pretty much like the main takeaway that I had from that. In so many words. $36 points. Those are good numbers. 3 to 5. They're almost like cousins, in a way. But no, I mean, I used to get obsessed about the amount of time I spent, and really now I realize, like, since I'm busy, as long as I sit down and work on it for like 15 minutes, it's still something, you know? I can still say that. Like, I have this, I don't know if, hold on, I'll have to get my preview back up. So I have this calendar. You can sort of see it hanging up there. And on that calendar, every day, at the beginning of the day, sometimes I put some stuff on there in advance, but every day at the beginning of the day, I write out what I'm going to do that day. And some stuff will already be filled in, but say I wake up and I'm like, all right, I know I'm going to stream Half-Life tonight, and then before that I want to get some work done on Hydra, and then other than that I got to go to my family's, spend time with them, or whatever. So I write down whatever my plan is for the day, and at the end of the day I get to check everything off, like everything that I did. And the satisfaction of being able to put a check mark next to that stuff is like reacting check mark to somebody's Discord message, man. It just fills you with so much pride. But no, seriously, it is actually something that I get to look forward to. It's like, that's a tool for motivation. I'd be like, yeah, I'm going to check the shit out of that off right now because I was able to do it. And so it ends up being pretty helpful in that respect, I think. So on this project, so I work on the maps, the concepts. I do like probably definitively the most amount of work, but the new unit logic and any changes to the engine and stuff on a code-based level, that's Iquare. He's a guy from the Ukraine, and he does all the work for like writing in C++ or in Rust, these two programming languages we use for our plugins. So he's responsible for improving our tools and upgrading the engine so that we can actually have more stuff, basically. Whatever functionality we need for our tech trees. Whereas I come up with the concepts for those tech trees. So. And then DF does some art. Like he did the reverse ramp. He's done pretty much, I think he's done all the ramps actually. Besides like some of the south-facing ramps, I just kit bashed from existing blends. Like I took, people made like custom ramp blends in SEM Draft, and I just took screenshots of those and photoshopped them so that they didn't have terrain blocks. So that's how I made these. But aside from some of the south-facing ones, he's done all the north-facing ones, and a lot of the custom ones, like for the raised jungle bit, he's done that. I ported these. He did the base reverse ramp for dirt, and I ported it to high dirt. Ported the base ramp to high dirt as well. So I do a little bit of everything, or a lot of it of everything. But DF is responsible for a lot of the more complex stuff, like reverse ramps. Like I'm not an artist, so he's the actual artist behind the project. So, and pretty soon we're going to be getting some other people. Like Soul Filter recently agreed to hop on to try to do some unit sprites, which is really important because we have no real unit sprites that we could use for some of the units that I need. So hopefully that works out. But there you go. It's a team of 3. And I have 3 new messages from Soul Filter.
That's 3!
Hell yeah. Exactly, dude. If iQuery ends up getting destroyed by some freak Cuban Missile Crisis 2.0, Hydra 2.0 will be jeopardized, we'll say. So pray for him, pray for Russia, pray for Crimea. So I think we made some pretty good progress in the three hours we've been streaming, so that's cool. We're able to get some stuff done with the tileset, fair bit of that. That's nice. Ported in the reverse temple ramp. Thank you, DF. If at any point, DF, you would like to do the blends for mud and temple and ruins, I think that's all I need for the other versions of that ramp. So, big kisses. But otherwise, tomorrow at 12 noon Eastern, I will be streaming a game night, so come on, come all. And some point in the evening, maybe 9 p.m. Eastern, maybe before, maybe after, I will be doing the rest of Half-Life. We'll finish that game up. Probably will only take me like 2-3 hours to finish, so I think that's that. Thanks everybody who stuck around and hung out and asked questions and engaged me while I was slogging in Photoshop. Very kind of you. Spend your time hanging out with me. And thanks to everybody who contributed.